least through Labor Day. Microsoft reportedly has told workers they can work from home through October. The government is charging 2 New England restaurant owners with fraud and applications for $438,000 in small business relief loans. They're charged with falsely claiming they had dozens of employees at 3 restaurants. California is suing Uber and Lyft, accusing them of misclassifying drivers as independent contractors under a new state law. The suit seeks payment of unpaid wages as well as civil penalties. Uber says it will fight the suit. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
In-depth analysis, concise reporting, need-to-know global business news. Around the world and across the markets, Bloomberg connects the dots for decision makers. Stay on top of today's headlines. Follow big breakthroughs in tech. Understand the latest political issues. See how the world's wealthiest are spending their money. Track what's happening in the markets, and much more. Subscribe today to Bloomberg, the global standard for business reporting. Get it all at Bloomberg.com/subscriptions.
If knowledge is
Get your cook on with Asda. Pick up a 7-pack of Growers Selection bananas for just £1 and 125 grams of Growers Selection blueberries. Was £1.19, now just £1. So you can get groovy with your smoothies. We've got loads more low prices across the store. Asda. Selected stores subject to availability.
We're all having to get used to the new normal. And at Birkbeck University, we're experts at being adaptable. As London's evening university, we've been flexing around the lives of busy commuters for nearly 200 years. And you can find everything you need to secure your place for autumn online. From expert advice to virtual tours, a live chat with our students and course applications. Make the new normal, studying for the career that you really want. Search Birkbeck, and it's new problem solved.
Typical Danny. Imagine trying to unwind at a spa weekend and you wind up getting your mud pack all over your fave personalised dressing gown. But no worries, just one wash and my clothes will smell perf with Surf. Surf gives you long-lasting fragrance with natural essential oils. Find your fragrance in Surf's laundry range.
TSB believe in people helping people. So if for whatever reason you become an innocent victim of fraud, they will refund every penny you lost from your TSB account. Find out more about their fraud refund guarantee at tsb.co.uk. Terms and conditions apply.
This is an important message from the government. For now, we must all still stay at home. It can be hard, but it's making a difference. So please keep going for the ones you love. Keep going for every key worker on the front line as they keep going for us. Keep going because together we will beat the virus. To all of you making sacrifices every day, thank you. Stay home, protect the NHS, save lives.
Get your daily dose of NFL Shop Talk with these great podcasts on TuneIn. Start your morning off right with Around the NFL.
Injured, depleted roster into the playoffs, and I didn't think they belonged in the playoffs.
I think overall, though, it was a great divisional round weekend because you got the first one.
Run into the end zone with the Move the Sticks podcast.
We had a fun little Zoom cocktail hour last night.
Oh, yeah.
What a star-studded affair. Greg, you were there for the earlier part, but it really popped off a little later on. We had Zach Goldman.
And dive deep into the sidelines with the Peter King podcast.
On the occasion of his 50th birthday, come down and record a little bit of retrospective on the life and times of Brett Lorenzo Favre.
That sounds like a bestseller.
It sounds like a precursor to a funeral. That's what it is.
I wasn't thinking that.
Explore these and more hard-hitting NFL podcasts right here on TuneIn. Be part of the sports conversation with Sports Talk Radio on TuneIn. Join the discussion around your favorite local teams with sports stations broadcasting in your
The game
area.
will be 185 to 183, and somebody wins, whatever. Football, it's either full go or it's not. You got like, oh, it's thud. I can practice what they call
Follow
thud.
national storylines and debates with ESPN Radio.
Does the NBA have a hiring problem when it comes to front office jobs in the leagues and a minority hiring issue? Stephen A. chimed in on that today on First Take.
It also resonates with me, Max. You can appreciate this position. One of the candidates was Brian Colangelo. We know what happened. I like Brian, but we know.
And hear what's happening worldwide with international channels like Talk Sport.
Seems as I'm sort of doing my life in reverse at the moment. I was on cricket tours when I was 20 years old, and now I'm 31. I'm out sat at home injured playing PlayStation. So it's a tournament basically where you create your own character.
In your backyard and around the globe. Keep your finger on the pulse of the sports world with TuneIn.
Live to New York, Bloomberg 1130. To Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 99.1. To Boston, Bloomberg 1061. To San Francisco, Bloomberg 960. To the country, Sirius XM Channel 119. And around the globe, the Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Business Week.
Coming up, Dave Wilson's chart of the day. Always look forward to that. His wit and wisdom here with about a half an hour to go in the trade.
Yeah, curious to see what he has to say and what he's going to bring to our attention. I think it has something to do with value, which...
There you go. He always delivers value. See what I did there?
All right, we got to move along. Let's get a check on your top business stories and a look at the trading day. Charlie, just less than a half an hour to go here.
Absolutely right about that. We value you. Can't wait for the song of the day. Always interesting to see what that is and who does and who doesn't know it. We've got the Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ rally mode underway. 28 minutes to go ahead of the closing bell. Off our session highs, well off session highs, with the S&P now up by 35. That is a gain of 1.2%. The Dow up 231, up by 1%. NASDAQ up 128. That is a gain there of 1.5%. 10-year 0.65%, down 6/30 seconds. We've got gold down up 0.2%. Spot gold now at $17.05 the ounce, up 3.76. West Texas Intermediate crude, big story, up 19% today. 24.30 for a barrel of WTI. Brent 30.97. It is up by 13.8%. I gave you the headline before, but a little more detail now. Airbnb cutting 25% of its workforce as the coronavirus pandemic continues to pummel the travel sector. CEO Brian Chesky wrote in an email to staff today that about 1,900 Airbnb employees across the world will be affected. The medical response to treating the coronavirus has seen an evolving role for nurses. Michelle Patch is a professor of nursing at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health.
For instance, we have many of our nurses who are functioning within incident command centers across Hopkins and Hopkins affiliates in order to coordinate and facilitate our combined efforts. And that is around the logistics, the operations, how do we get the supplies we need, how do we get them to the front line as quickly as possible and to the right areas.
The Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health is supported by Michael R. Bloomberg, founder of Bloomberg LP and Bloomberg Philanthropies. Pfizer has administered the first American patients with its experimental vaccine to fight the disease caused by the novel coronavirus, part of a bid to shave years off of the typical time it takes to develop a new inoculation. Pfizer shares they are higher now by 2.5%, and Regeneron Pharmaceuticals says an emergency antibody treatment for COVID-19 could be available as soon as this fall, an expedited timeline for a drug that's scheduled to be studied in humans for the first time in June. Regeneron up now by 5.9%. Recapping, S&P up 32 points, a gain there of 1.1%. Bring on that song of the day. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, Charlie, you set us up so nicely. This is Bloomberg. This one takes me back.
When you had hair?
Good Lord.
Oh, wow, that was really hard.
You know, we started off so nicely today. We were in sync. I have a lot more hair than I did at the start of this pandemic.
Were you thinking that, though? No. When it took you back?
Nope. No. I was in the immortal words of Olaf. Nope. I was not thinking about that at all. I was thinking about David Lee Roth, great music video on MTV, And yes, I had hair. Thank you for pointing that out. All right.
Dave Wilson,
Van Halen,
save me.
Save her, Dave. You have a nice
Well, all I can say is you did a better job with this one than with the Van Halen, David Lee Roth song Bottoms Up that I played last week. So good for you.
But I got David Lee Roth, remember? Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Jesus.
Wow, Jason,
Tough
you should just
crowd.
stop because
I'm just going to sit back, and why don't you guys take this segment? Dave, tell us about your chart.
You talk about tough crowds. Think about what value investors have to deal with at this point. We've
Well
seen
done.
The S&P 500, over the
always good
past
with the
several
segues.
weeks, come off its lows of March. And, what's happened to valuation as a result of that has to give value investors pause. Think of Warren Buffett as an obvious example there. And it's something I saw in a report yesterday from Morgan Stanley Wealth Management. They focused on what are called forward price earnings ratios, so using earnings estimates as the E and PE rather than past results. Forward PE for the S&P 500 and Russell 2000 value indexes. So these are supposed to be the relatively cheap stocks by comparison with earnings and other indicators. And what you see is that in the past few weeks, they have become anything but cheap by historical standards. You look at the forward PE on the S&P 500 value index, it's now the highest since 2002.
Wow.
You do the same with the Russell, it's the highest since 2009.
Because earnings have come undone, or what?
Well, you've got that going on at the same time that share prices have risen. So it's really kind of magnified the effect. Let's put it in context. In March, when stocks hit bottom, these forward PEs were both less than 11, okay? The S&P 500 value index's forward PE got up to 17 last week. For the Russell 2000 value index, we're talking 23. So in other words, the forward PE on the smaller companies more than doubled in the space of about a month and a half. Not even. It just goes to show you how extreme the swing has been. And this is at a time when analysts are still catching up in terms of bringing earnings estimates down. So, you put that all together and you have to say, where's the value in value stocks? They just aren't cheap anymore, at least by historical standards. If you want to know more, folks, send me an email. I get you the chart, the explanation that goes with it, and everything I do going forward. The email address is dwilson@bloomberg.net. That's dwilson@bloomberg.net.
Dave, I got to ask you, because we just heard, I got to say, that conversation that Eric had with Sam Zell, I put it out on Twitter. Everybody should listen to it because it's somebody who has seen a lot of different cycles, a bit of a sage when it comes to what's going on in the world and the investment world in particular, and has incredible insight and perspective. And here I'm watching, then we had Vice President Mike Pence talking about the presidential coronavirus task force being disbanded. And we've got a headline, Illinois reporting the most new virus deaths in one day. Total of 65,962 virus cases with more than 2,800 deaths. And I just do wonder, too, Dave, just quickly, what are you hearing from market folks about how we reopen or how quickly we can reopen?
Well, it's clear that there's an anticipation that things will come back to relatively normal in a relatively short period of time, let's say months as opposed to years. I mean, it's kind of built into the way the earnings estimates are supposed to come around in the second half and then renewed growth next year. Put it all together. I mean, there's a lot to ask for from companies, and we'll see whether they can deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dave Wilson, we will chat with you in just a little bit on the other side of the close to get your stock of the day, and a lot to look forward to as we get to the close. And later on, we're going to talk about the business of entertainment. That's a big thing. One of the big studio heads, not in L.A. or New York, down in the ATL.
Right, but we know making content is going to be very, very tricky from all the conversations that we've had so far.
Totally.
Right, let's get to World and National News headlines. Back over to Nancy in D.C. Hey, Nancy.
Hey, Carol. President Trump says it is time for the country to reopen, calling Americans warriors. But a new Washington Post University of Maryland poll indicates 67% of Americans feel uncomfortable returning to a retail store. 78% would be uneasy eating at a restaurant. Stella Rouse is director of the University of Maryland Center for Democracy and Civic Engagement.
There's a definite disconnect between what a lot of states and the federal government want to do in terms of relaxing these laws and the willingness of Americans to do so.
The poll found most Americans approve of how scientists like Dr. Anthony Fauci are dealing with the challenges from the pandemic, giving Fauci a rating of 74%. President Trump's ratings are 44% positive. President Trump says he is the reason that Dr. Fauci was blocked from testifying to the House on the coronavirus this week. He says he didn't want him to appear because the House is controlled by Democrats.
Because the House is a setup. The House is a bunch of Trump haters. They put every Trump hater on the committee, the same old stuff. They frankly want our situation to be unsuccessful, which means death.
He did tell reporters at the White House earlier today Fauci will testify before the Senate. He says Fauci is looking forward to doing that. A government scientist says he was ousted from his job after raising concerns that the Trump administration wanted to flood coronavirus hotspots like New York and New Jersey with a malaria drug. Rick Bright filed his whistleblower complaint today with the Office of Special Counsel. Global news 24 hours a day on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
Imagine being denied an apartment because of your religion, or your race, or because you have children, or a disability.
It's so wrong. Yes, but who has the power to stop this?
You do. Each of us has the power. The law is on your side. It's illegal for landlords to discriminate because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. If you suspect that you have experienced housing discrimination, file a complaint with HUD immediately so we can investigate it. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
To learn more, visit HUD.gov/fairhousing. That's HUD.gov